this film takes place in the aftermath of the war in Kosovo. Blerta, why was it important for you to explore the effects and damages that the war left behind on the wives of soldiers? These stories rarely told.
Well, it's rarely the perspective of the women, I first of all, I heard the story. I was really intrigued by the fact that there is a woman in my country, in one of the villages, and that she's prejudiced for working and getting driving license. But then when I met her in person, and I saw how strong she is, what kind of personality she has, how she dealt with everything, it was actually her that really intrigued me more, inspired me more, to like know more about her. And it kind of became then the story of a character, of a woman character on screen, rather than just another story from Kosovo. But of course, we still live in a post-war country. I mean, it's been 20 years, but I don't think we've talked enough and healed from it yet. I guess it takes time, but I think it's also time that we start talking more about it. Because I left my country with my mom and my brother during the war, and because we had to. And then my father and my sisters remained, they couldn't get out. And then we came back immediately after the country was freed. It was a really chaotic feeling to be in post-war Kosovo, because it was filled with happiness, full of people. Everybody was coming back, even people who left before the war. Everybody had so much hope and happiness for freedom, yet there was a lot of chaos of what to do with this freedom now, because we didn't have it. We lived in occupation. It was not just the war, it was the regime that led for so many years that we were really discriminated just for being Albanians. And now all of a sudden we have all these international people coming to our country, and now we have options. We're free, we can do anything we want. Yet the economy was not good. A lot of people were killed. A lot of people had gone missing. So it was really a mixture of happiness, pain, and all of a sudden too many open doors. So it was really confusing to live, and chaotic to live in post-war Kosovo. So for me, that's always interesting, because yes, we live in a patriarchal society even today. Things have changed for better. We still have a lot more to do, but yet right after the war, it was really, it was a mixture of more harder patriarchy and a post-war society. So that's for me always interesting to explore. And then to also know, I mean, her husband was not a soldier, but he certainly was taken and gone missing just because he was a man. But then it was always for me really interesting to explore that besides all that and the whole pain and the post-war society, still women have to struggle because they are women. So for me, that was really surprising. Although I come from Kosovo, I'm not so distant from rural life, because my father is from a village, so we do go visit the village, and so my cousins all went to university and everything. But in a way, even I was surprised, and I wouldn't expect that to happen, and it did. So I really just wanted to explore why do these things happen, but also to raise a discussion and show this story and just show the pain, maybe without pointing fingers that much politically or gender wise, just to like really maybe understand her pain and have people think about it more and discuss, and hopefully give some hope and give some change, do some change in a way.
Absolutely. And I think that for me, the best stories, they do just that. They educate and they create empathy, so we can learn as audiences and kind of understand. And I think there's a lot to explore there with the generational trauma. I think like what you're saying, there's a lot of hope going on, but there's still this, trauma that has not been healed. But speaking of Faraj, Yllka, she's, struggling to provide for her family. She's struggling to stay alive. She's, protecting herself against this patriarchal society, as Blerta was talking about. But I feel like the film never victimizes her. And I want to talk about how crucial was it to humanize this character and her experiences?
It was very crucial. I mean, Faria is one of those people that she's a born leader. She has those skills. She doesn't have a PhD degree, but she is such a visionary. And even during the war and before the war, she just told us like 3 weeks ago when we met her in Krusha, she told us like how she always was business driven. Like she always tried to do this and that, things that were kind of unacceptable in her village for a woman to do. And when we met her, I mean, we were both very impressed with her, with her dignity and her personality and her warmth. She's funny. She's a funny person. I was expecting to meet a bitter person, somebody who is, I don't know, angry at life.
Yeah.
But she surprised us, and it wasn't hard, I believe, to understand her and to relate to her, especially coming from Kosovo and going through everything that Blerta just described. So I related to her, and then it became a mission for us to tell this story, to tell her story, because it's a beautiful, powerful story. Very sad, of course, because how can you make war and the consequences of it happy? But at the same time, it's an empowering story. Like when women come together, miracles happen. So we worked hard on trying to find, she's a stoic woman. She doesn't show that much emotion, but when she cracks, it's like heart-wrenching. And we try to understand the psychology of her. How did she feel, and how did she maintain herself to that degree? And Blerta, being Blerta, the amazing director, made everything easy, and Faria was very cooperative during the meetings. So that's how we did it. That's how we humanized her.
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful. And I think you kind of just touched upon it, sort of the independence that she gained from this experience. And you're right, it's very sad. It's very, it's not a happy story, but in a way though, again, to bring it back to hope, I think in a lot of times, unfortunately, women in all different countries across all centuries have kind of found themselves through unfortunate events that have happened during wartime, which is an interesting reality. But I would love to know too, I feel like she is probably the kind of character that changes one's life as an actor. I would love to know what playing her taught you most about yourself.
I dreamt about playing her like for almost 10 years. So for me, being on set, the first day of shooting was like the dream began. And I was very excited. Of course, it was a huge responsibility. And I was a little bit intimidated, to be completely honest. But I believe I trusted Blerta, first of all, and I loved the story. And I was in love with Fahriye and her stoicism. And the whole procedure, like the process of making this film and everything, it was hard because there were long hours of shooting in very hot days and cold days and everything. But what I learned most, honestly, is that just like Fahriye had this dream for her to make this business, not because she had entrepreneurial dreams to become somebody, but out of necessity. For me as well as an actor, this was a necessity. I had this chance to honor this story, to honor this woman through this beautiful script with an amazing director. So I'm going to do my best. And it was a learning experience, a healing experience. We cried and laughed and did all of that. But just like Fahriye's dream came true, for me as well, when the movie was done, my dream came true because I dreamt about portraying her for almost 10 years.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I'm like getting teary-eyed. That's lovely to hear. And it just sounds like it was a beautiful collaboration between all these just incredible, talented women. And that in itself is a dream come true. Wow. I was thinking a lot about sort of the symbolism of kind of like bees and how they remind me a lot of mothers. I feel like they're both very essential to life. You know, without bees to pollinate, crops would cease to exist. Without women, people would cease to exist. But yet both have, you know, historically been kind of swatted away in a sense. So I want to know from both of you what you want audiences to walk away learning about motherhood and the resilience of mothers.
Well, I mean, first of all, when Fadia told me about how she worked with bees and how they would sting her because she had a lot of pain and she was very anxious and she couldn't be calm with them.
Ooh.
And you're supposed to be calm when you're working because they can sense it and then they sting you. It was so metaphorical itself, that they were, I mean, besides everything, the bees were stinging her as well. And at some point she even had to go to the emergency room because they stung her so much. And, you know, sometimes when everything goes wrong, just everything goes wrong. And I was like, oh man, even those bees. I mean, I'm really scared of bees. So for me, it was like, but then she compared the other women with the bees. She was like, when I was aggressive and insisting on the women, they would be like bees, like they would almost sting me and like be aggressive to me because they are widows. So she was like, widowed women are like bees. You have to approach them gently and slowly so that they don't sting you, and then they will join you slowly. And that was like the mother effect there, like the queen bee effect that she had. That's why we named the film Hive, or Joy, which is in Albanian, because she was the queen bee. She created a hive around her, and she created a safe place for these women to gather, to talk, to cry, laugh, talk about sex sometimes, which is such a taboo, and only the older one can do it because she now doesn't have any more taboos and understands that you should not have them. But all these things happened because she created that safe environment for them to do all these things. And that's like a therapy circuit. I mean, like, who can do that? Is she a psychologist, an entrepreneur, a mother, a queen bee, all in one? But she was because she was also dealing with healing these women and not letting them cry all the time, so that she was like, we could not go crazy. We could not afford to go crazy. We needed to stay sane for our children and work to provide for them before it's too late. So I think that was really impressive and smart of her. And that's why we also wanted to name the film after that, because of what she said happened to her, but also because how she dealt with all the women, and because how they are even today as a really, really good community. And it's so lovely to just see them and meet them.
Oh, that's beautiful. It's so true. I mean, it's like cheesy to say, but it's like stronger together, the power of female friendships. And this idea too, I think, I'm sure that it helped her to heal by helping them to heal, and vice versa. And
Exactly.
yeah. What about you? How do you feel about the symbolism of the bee?
I love it. Because I think women are like bees, honestly, just like Fahriye told us in the beginning. Just as you said, bees are super important for Earth and for our lives, and we should take better care of them because they are becoming extinct, which is a shame.
Yeah.
And women, what can we say more? We are amazing, and we should have each other's backs, because when, just like Fahriye and her small community, when they came together and joined forces, they changed the mindset, they changed the culture, they changed their lives and the lives of their children, and they built a much stable and better future for themselves and their children and now their grandchildren. So I do believe that even though I'm not sure if it was on purpose, the symbolism with bees and the hive of women, but still it makes perfect sense to me, and I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's truly inspiring. It's truly inspiring. I feel so blessed that this film exists, and I'm so thankful for both of you. And this has been lovely. Thank you so much, and best of luck with everything. I I can't wait for the world, more people to see this film and to learn from it and to cry and laugh and just
Exactly.
everything. And hopefully this will create, help create some hives around the world, so thank you, thank you, thank you.